He had a rather tough job on his hands in the semi-final after a fairly iffy opening round, to say the least. He was utterly dominant in the second and third round. It was a slow start, and there was no real reason for it against the Hungarian Welter in the semi-final. And HICHVA will hope that he's learnt that lesson, I suppose, from the semi-final, and there are no mistakes this time in how he approaches the beginning of this bout, and he's able to assert himself well straight away from the opening bell. But he is going to be battling not just the fighter but the crowd as well, because the man in the blue corner is Mekhman NAMAZOV of Georgia, who was able to get past Guram Gagiev of Russia. Not with a unanimous decision in the semi-final, to say the least. The 4-1 victory on the judges' scorecard. NAMAZOV was, to put it any other way, would be certainly incorrect. He's just a wild swinger and a wild fighter in that semi-final. It was utterly erratic and uncontrolled at times in his approach, and he was rushing around and rushing into blows and flinging whatever he could. Really high energy fighter, and it paid off eventually over the 3 rounds. And it will be interesting if that's the exact same approach that he takes as he steps into the ring and gets himself prepared to try and win Georgia their 2nd gold medal of the evening.
He's strong, isn't he? You look at him across the ring there, you look at the back on him. Shoulders just taper out from quite a thin waist. He's well put together. As we said earlier, at these ages, at 15, 16, you can have quite a big physical difference between fighters because development rates are different. We all remember that from when we were younger. You'd play sport against some 15-year-olds, and some would look like boys, others had full beards and looked like men. It's just how it goes sometimes.
There's a 2-step into the centre of the ring then, and the crowd just starts to pick up once more. Fair height advantage that the Ukrainian has. I wonder if again that will mean that the approach from NAMAZOV is once more that wild, aggressive approach that we saw in the semi-final. Could be really fun, this one. It could end up being rather scrappy as NAMAZOV comes out of the blue corner, the Georgian, and HICHVA comes out of the red corner, the Ukrainian, and NAMAZOV goes straight away, trying to work with a lot of speed and intensity. But you see the Ukrainian is quick firing with that right-hand jab, but NAMAZOV just comes in and gets as close as he can and just starts swinging away. And that's what I mean about a rather unstylish fashion, but it got the job done in the semi-final. That was lovely, the little 1-2, caught with the right for sure, not so much with the left. The left better that time. Again, he gets in close, tried to throw a couple to the body before looking a little higher up the torso of his opponent. Again, he steps straight into the mix. There's no respite. Just keen to step forward, close the gap, and get right in on his opponent. And already that jab is being almost nullified by the Ukrainian with the intense pressure that NAMAZOV is putting on. Both in the southpaw style. The Ukrainian again can't really tag with that right hand. NAMAZOV in that style, he's going to step into some shots for sure, as there's a warning just about the elbow there of HICHVA. NAMAZOV is going to, as I say, walk into the odd right-hand jab, but look at that right that comes following. It's a good rebuttal, though, from the Ukrainian. A little right pop to keep him at bay and keep the distance. A good left as well from the man in red, but NAMAZOV still buoyed and pushed on by this crowd and keeping the intensity as high as he can with 20 seconds to go. Caught a couple of times there with the right jab, and again on the top of the forehead, as suddenly HICHVA's finding some joy in the latter part of this first round. HICHVA trying to, after getting stalled with the right, throw the left as the follow-up. He's just able to keep that distance a little bit more. It's not as easy for NAMAZOV as it was in the start of the opening round. It's an opening round that's entertained, but anybody that's watching will see exactly what NAMAZOV's plan is, which is just to get forward as much as possible. The judges are split. It says 3:10.9s for HICHVA, 2:10.9s for NAMAZOV, Andy Clark.
I can see that. I could have seen that the other way around as well. I think the split scoring is right, because towards the end of the round there, as you said, HICHVA just managed to pull his feet out a little bit and back up when NAMAZOV was steaming in towards him, and managed to catch him on the way in. It's not an easy thing to do because the Georgian comes in at pace, but he doesn't really move his head. He's of that school that says to you, I am going to land on you. It's just a question of how much you can manage to land on me.
He's almost using his flying fists as his first line of defence when he steps in, isn't it? It's those come first, and if those can get the opponent on the back foot, then the sting of whatever they're going to throw to try and reply to my aggression isn't potentially going to be as powerful as it would be, and I can get through that, and I can keep my fist going once I get nice and close. But once again, HICHVA starts to try and use the right hand and start this second round where he finished the first round. NAMAZOV again swinging, but this time it's less impactful. He's kept away as HICHVA's able to sidestep and once more just retain the gap. NAMAZOV might have to time his approaches a little more rather than being so aggressive all the time. And you see here, when there's distance, it's really difficult for him to get anywhere close and get any power or real contact with any of the blows that he's firing the man in blue.
What he doesn't want to do here, the Georgian, is stand on the borderline of range where HICHVA can reach him and he can't reach HICHVA. There's no profit at all in being there. He needs to be all the way out where his opponent can't reach him, or all the way in.
Very sensible boxing there from HICHVA as well. Had his man in the corner, threw the 2 or 3 shots that he needed, but as soon as NAMAZOV started to reply, stepped immediately out and away from danger. Something that we didn't see in the first minute or so of that first round. HICHVA tried to almost go toe-to-toe with his man when he got inside, and again the Georgian isn't really getting the reach that he wants.
He seems to be gassing a bit, actually, looking at him, NAMAZOV.
It's an easy thing to happen with your approach, particularly when you start taking shots as well. When you're high energy and it doesn't work, you can go slow very quickly because you're drained as well by the shots that you take. 20 seconds to go in this second round. You feel the Ukrainian has had a really good round in this one. It's a good left as well. Catches round the side, then he went looking downstairs too. NAMAZOV a little better, looking for the body of HICHVA. He doesn't have that same intensity as we're in the final 10 seconds of this middle round. And it's 10 seconds that they stay locked in on each other. But at the moment, Oleh HICHVA, the Ukrainian, seems locked in on what he needs to do in this gold medal bout. And he takes the judges a clean sweep of 10-9s across the board in favour of HICHVA.
That was the only way you could go with that one. That was a dominant round there for HICHVA. I think NAMAZOV has run out of steam and maybe at the same time run out of ideas a little bit, because when the intensity was really high in that opening round, he had enough success to get 2 of those cards, could have got 3. The fact that he only got 2 is quite key now, because his opponent has got a 2-point lead on 3 cards, which gives him almost an unassailable lead. If he managed to get 1 more card in that opening round, NAMAZOV, then we'd have 3 19-19s and he'd still be in it. As it is, he needs something huge or some points deductions.
And as you said, on another night, it could have gone that way for him as well in that first round, but it wasn't to be, as NAMAZOV and his trainer is just a little slow to get out from the corner, as we can get round 3 underway. And as you say, Andy, something special needed from NAMAZOV, who looks far more drained of energy than he was in the opening round. And as I said, in that semi-final, it was that sort of intensity that he was able to produce for large parts of it, but he just never took the shots that he's been taking in this final, in that semi-final.
And as you rightly said, that empties your tank, because this is a hard way to go about your business. This is a tough way to fight for NAMAZOV. It's probably the way he's always done it. I'd imagine it's the way he will always do it. He is very young, though. They can teach him a few tricks yet. He's not completely set in his ways, but it takes a lot of energy. But you've got to avoid getting hit quite as much, because, again, at this level, that's what will happen. You will overwhelm opponents at national level, and he's got all the way to the final, and huge credit to him for that. But he's up against a skillful and physically strong and big opponent here. He's managed just to back up as you said in the first round, give himself that bit of room and hit him solidly as he's on the way in.
And HICHVA as well. You see now it's a lot easier for the Ukrainian to dodge the advances of NAMAZOV, because they're that little bit slower and there's that little bit less intensity in them. We've seen it already in this third round, his ability to sidestep or just take that one step back away, so that once more the Georgian is punching at air and not able to land. And even now HICHVA has been able to add a couple of tags as well as he stepped away. It's a nice left hand there by NAMAZOV. Just finally found a bit of range, but 20 seconds or so left in this final round. It's not going to be enough as he now starts to swing once again and starts to go reckless. And HICHVA once more just steps away. Little tag as well as he moves just to the side of his opponent, and they clinch up. And the last few seconds are going to finish like the second round did, with them locked with each other. But they're not going to be locked on the scoreboard, because that's a very impressive performance from Oleh HICHVA, who weathered the initial storm well and reacted intelligently to the situation that presented itself to him, and was able to read and react in the moment in that first round. And once he'd done that and established the way he wanted to go about it, there was very little really that NAMAZOV could do, because plan A wasn't working, and as you say, there wasn't much of a plan B, if any at all.
That's it, and there aren't too many details on NAMAZOV. It might be that that's really one of the first times, or possibly the first time, that it hasn't really worked, or that he's come up against somebody who really was just able to make those adjustments and deal with it.
Oleh HICHVA takes the gold medal then. See what it means to him as well. The Georgian is looking pretty devastated, and you only feel for him because he did give 110% throughout the fight and gave every last drop of energy he had. But the Ukrainian corner is jubilant there. And HICHVA is loving his moment in the spotlight as well. He really wanted that, and you can see that he's elated that he's managed to pick up the gold. And a wonderful moment. We haven't seen that too often from the fighters at all, but that display of emotion